After studying this module, you shall be able to know the concept of HR effectiveness, learn about the type of metrics, identify the importance according to HR functions by the top management, evaluate effectiveness of different HR functions. It is well accepted that human resource is a source of competitive advantage. It distinguishes a good organization from an excellent one. Measuring the effectiveness of human resource management remains a complex issue since the outcome is not always tangible. The impact of any human resource intervention leads to an addition to the intellectual capital of employees, which may not manifest in the form of observable behavior. Or else, the observed behavior may change, but it cannot be exclusively attributed to the HR intervention, since human beings are continuously learning from various sources. Since it is possible to quantify the return on financial investment, the impact of strategic marketing and efficiency of the production process, it is easy to measure their impact on business outcomes, particularly profitability. Lawler 2005 states, "It is nearly unanimous that HR can and should add more value to corporations. The foremost method to do this is by being a business partner, which will improve the performance of the business directly. This can be achieved by effective talent management, helping with change management, influencing strategy, and a host of other value-added activities that impact effectiveness." But HR doesn't seem to be able to position itself as a business partner in many cases. Research by Wright and McMahon 1992, Huslid 1995, McDuffie 1995 examines the causal link between HRM and organizational performance. Becker and Huslid 1988 have done path-breaking research on the relationship between HR practices and performance on a sample of 740 companies where firms with intensive HR practices and higher market value per employee, firms that bundled practices into high performance work systems HPWS, had better performance than firms that did not. McDuffie 1995. Young and Berman 1997, by employing Eastman Kodak as a case study, identified 3 paths through which HR practices contribute to business performance in terms of building organizational capabilities, improving employee satisfaction, and shaping customer and shareholder satisfaction. He has developed HR measures that drive business performance. Cascio and Bundreno 2008 studied the link between behavioral costing and financial impact of HR activities. They measured the economic consequences of behavior of employees such as absenteeism, turnover, employee attitudes, work-life programs, and employee training. Measurement of effectiveness helps to prove that human resource activities create value for organization in terms of business performance or increasing profits. Good HR practices result in a financial payoff. It would then be possible for organizations to focus on those HR activities that are more beneficial in terms of impact on the bottom line. This also led to the enhancement of strategic role of HRM. However, measurement of the impact of human resource on business performance is not a commonly used metric. HR performance is increasingly being measured in terms of numbers that can be understood without ambiguity and are capable of comparison. These metrics are not perfect measures but can act as effective indicators of human resource interventions. Measures such as the number of employees trained, training cost per employee, time taken to hire, and timely completion of performance appraisal have always been in place. Similarly, the rate of absenteeism, employee turnover ratio, and increase in the number of successful placements are metrics that are commonly used by organizations. Attitude surveys regularly measure employee satisfaction and commitment. Measurement has focused on effectiveness of HR functions over a period of time or even with respect to other organizations in the industry. While these are useful criteria, it is increasingly felt that an evaluation should be in monetary terms. The effect of HR activities in terms of rupees saved. A cost-benefit analysis of the human resource function must be carried out in terms of cost incurred and its contribution to the profits of the company. Although there is agreement on the importance of measuring the effectiveness of human resources, developing and applying relevant metrics is ridden with complexity. Even in the case of traditionally accepted metrics, there are issues about who is measuring effectiveness. Is it the HR staff evaluating their own effectiveness, or is it the line managers evaluating the contribution of HR in the organization? What would be the frequency of measurement? Another issue relates to the importance according to this measurement by the top management. Are HR metrics reported to the top management and considered in strategic decision making, or are the metrics only for internal use of the human resource department to improve functioning and motivate staff? M. Sriman Narayana, 2009, conducts a study based on 109 HR professionals working in manufacturing, IT or IT-enabled services and service sectors with a minimum experience of 2 years in their respective organizations. They represented private, joint venture and public sector organizations across India. He identifies 56 possible measures covering all domains of HR activities to assess the effectiveness of all domains of HR on a 4-point scale. The results show that compensation related activities are measured in the organization to a significant extent. New employee performance rating by a recruitment source, satisfaction of the manager who requested for new recruits, and the response time by recruitment source are not measured in their evaluation process to a significant extent. The satisfaction of the manager who requested for new hires is not measured to a significant extent. The number of employees trained in the programs is the principal measure of assessing their training and development. Performance appraisal is the predominant tool used in performance management system. Employee quit rate is not only measured but also reported to the top management for necessary action in some organizations. Research shows that most measurement of human resource effectiveness is carried out by HR staff, resulting in an inherent bias in the results. The effectiveness by line managers is usually lower than that of HR staff, although a more accurate measurement of effectiveness would be by the ordinary employees who are consumers of human resource management, since the HR staff also have a tendency to give a higher rating to their role and contribution in strategic human resource management. There is varying importance given to different measures of effectiveness. So far as recruitment and selection are concerned, more importance is given in organizations to measuring effectiveness of selection processes. For example, if an organization chooses a source of recruitment, it should be possible to compare the effectiveness of alternate sources. For example, internet, newspaper advertisements, campus placement, employee referrals, etc. The number of offers made, candidates selected, or successful retention in the organization with respect to different sources could be benchmarks for measuring the effective recruitment. Similar metrics are needed to assess the robustness of the selection procedure. Does a particular test lead to better employee retention and a better quality of employee? It should be possible to measure the linkage between training programs and improvement in productivity. For example, reduction in wastage or number of defective products produced or number of customer complaints through simple numeric formulae. A HR scorecard is derived from the Balanced Scorecard by Kaplan and Norton 1996. This measurement framework helps management translate strategic goals into operational objectives. It provides a clear prescription about what companies should measure in order to balance the financial perspective. The generic model of BSC considers financial, customer processes, and learning as 4 distinct sectors. The logic is that learning helps organizations improve their internal processes such as product development and services that are critical for customer satisfaction. Value creation for the customer in turn propels financial performance and profitability. Becker, Huslett and Ulrich 2001 have outlined an HR scorecard model which aims at managing HR as a strategic partner and demonstrating HR's contribution to the financial success. Defining clearly the business strategy, building a business case for HR as a strategic asset, creating a strategy map, identifying HR deliverables within the strategy map, aligning the HR architecture with HR deliverables, designing the strategic measurement system, and implementing management are the 7 steps in this model. Human resource functions must contribute to the strategic goals of the organization. The cause-effect link is shown in a digital dashboard. It is possible to measure the scorecard metrics in real time, as in the case of the dashboard of a car that indicates the levels of speed, fuel and temperature. The scorecard indicates the real-time metrics and the need for change. Thus, there must be clarity about the strategic goals of the organization, the employee behavior, organizational outcomes, and overall performance of the organization. Relevant metrics need to be designed to measure HR outcomes. For example, specific training in customer handling leads to improved behavior of the customer care executives and hence a reduction in complaints, an increase in the number of satisfied customers, or time taken to hire and its link with the quality of people hired. Becker, Huslett and Ulrich have identified 10 steps in the HR scorecard process. Number 1. Define the business strategy. The organization defines its corporate business level and functional strategy leading to specific actionable strategic goals. Number 2. Outline the company's value chain. Thompson and Strickland 3 define the value chain as identifies the primary activities that create value for customers and the related support activities. It is possible to establish a link between the HR activities and the expected employee behavior that results in customer satisfaction. This includes an analysis of costs involved and aims at improving the quality of work. For example, at Dell Computers, phone technicians add value by having the ability to engage with the customer and help understand customer problems speedily. Number 3. Outline a strategy map. A graphical presentation of the interlinkages between departments or teams in terms of their contribution to the success of the company is mapped. For example, a chain of hotels can focus on lowering costs of maintaining properties as well as satisfying and retaining customers to become more profitable. This in turn may be translated into expected employee behavior and consequent HR practices and policies. Number 4. Identify the strategically required organizational outcomes. There must be clarity regarding the value chain within the organization. For example, customer care executives are trained to understand problems and give technically correct and prompt advice in order to be customer centric. Number 5. Identify the required workforce competencies and behaviors. The value chain is useful in identifying relevant employee behavior. Percentage of employees making suggestions, employees understand company's core values that will facilitate the achievement of strategic goals of the organization. Number 6. Identify the required HR system policies and activities. Specific HR activities are earmarked for fulfilling the targets. It is possible to introduce incentives and training programs that will influence employee behavior and business outcomes. Number 7. Create HR scorecard. The information gathered is then consolidated and shown in a computerized HR scorecard. The causal links are established between HR activities, emergent employee behavior, and final organizational performance. Computerized scorecards packages based on metrics of world-class companies are available. Number 8. Choose HR scorecard measures. After ascertaining the HR activities, employee behaviors, and strategic business outcomes, it is essential to translate these into measurable indicators. These could be in terms of financial or non-financial metrics. Short or long-term goals for internal, time reduced in serving customers at a restaurant, for example, or external stakeholders such as improvement in customer satisfaction. Number 9. Summarize the scorecard measures in a digital dashboard. A graphic indicator of metrics depicting all HR activities, employee behavior, and strategic outcomes so as to get an instant picture of the state of the organization. The digital dashboard can provide alerts when the metrics fall below acceptable levels. For example, the dashboard will trigger an alarm if the number of customer complaints or employee grievances increase beyond the accepted level. Number 10. Monitor, predict, and evaluate. The parameters shown in the dashboard are susceptible to change. Hence, the scorecard has predictive capabilities. It also needs regular review of the metrics used and the efficacy of the cause-effect linkages. Let us now recapitulate what we have studied in this module. Measuring the effectiveness of human resource management remains a complex issue since the outcome is not always tangible. There are different approaches to ascertaining the economic value of people's contribution to an organization. The specific human capability capital theory, human resource accounting approach, and the utility analysis. Traditional measures such as the number of employees trained, training cost per employee, time taken to hire, and timely completion of performance appraisal have always been measured. Becker, Huslid, and Ulrich 2001 have outlined an HR scorecard model derived from the balanced scorecard by Kaplan and Norton 1996.